Hello everyone. Today we will start the new chapter of class 12th, that is electric charges and fields. So let's recall a few concepts which we studied in class 10th. So the historical things I have written on the board. What is electrostatics? This word is new for you. Electrostatics is composed of two words. One is electro and the other is statics. So in the branch of physics, which is called as electrostatics, we study about the charges at rest, right? Because statics means rest. So whatever fields, forces or potential are exerted by these charges at rest, these are studied under the term electrostatics, right? Then we have a historical background. Thales was a scientist who noticed that when amber, which is a tree resin, when it is rubbed with wool or silk, it attracts the light objects, right? Gilbert was the scientist who coined the term electric, which is derived from the word electron, which is a word in Greek which means amber. Then we have electric charge, which we have studied in 10th standard. Electric charge is the property due to which any object attracts the other object, right? Attracts or repels the other object. And its SI unit you have studied in 10th standard, that is coulomb. Dimensions of charge is ampere into time, because we know that the formula for charge is I into T. Then we have kinds of charges. You are aware that we have two types of charges, that is positive and negative. Benjamin Franklin was the scientist who gave the positive charge term and the negative charge term, and he said that the charge on the glass rod which is rubbed with amber is the positive charge, and the charge on amber is called the negative charge. So glass rod got a positive and amber got a negative charge. Previously, this positive charge was called as vitreous and the negative charge was called as resinous, because it refers to amber. Amber is a resinous substance, so negative charge was called as resinous because amber got a negative charge. Now we have polarity of charges. The positive or the negative sign which is assigned to these two types of charges, this is also called as polarity. Then we have experiments to demonstrate the two types of charges. So let's take the first experiment. In this first experiment, we have two types of rod. One is the glass rod which is rubbed with wool or silk, and the other is a plastic rod which is rubbed with cat's fur. And then these two types of rods were used in different combinations and certain observations were made which we are going to study here. So first of all, in first case, what happened, that with an insulating thread, the glass rod rubbed with silk is tied over here with the insulating thread, and then another glass rod rubbed with silk or wool is brought near it. It was observed that this glass rod tries to move away from the glass rod, another glass rod which is rubbed with wool or silk, right? So this shows there is a repulsion. I'll tell you later what kind of charges are developed over here. In second case, again with an insulating thread, a plastic rod rubbed with cat's fur, this is tied over here, and another plastic rod rubbed with cat's fur is brought near it, and it was observed again here in this case that this tries to go away from it. Then there was a third case where a glass rod rubbed with wool or silk is tied over here, and a rubber rod which is rubbed with cat's fur is brought near it. So it was observed that these two attract each other. Now later it was found, this shows that there are two types of charges. So these two rods, which are what? Glass rubbed with wool or silk, and this is plastic rubbed with cat's fur, and here these are opposite. So in both the cases, in these two cases, first two cases, there is repulsion. So because these rods are similar, so you can say that whatever charges were developed on both these rods, these were similar. So there is a repulsion in between the similar charges. Here also repulsion between the similar charges, and there is an attraction between the dissimilar charges. So we can mention over here that this is repulsion case. This is also repulsion case, and this is the attraction case, right? Now later it was observed that this glass rubbed with wool or silk has positive charge, and the plastic rod rubbed with cat's fur has negative charge, right? So this experiment 1 gave an idea that we have two types of charges, and there is a repulsion between like charges and attraction between unlike charges, right? So this was our experiment 1. Then we have another experiment, which is experiment 2. So in experiment 2, only one thing was different, that is that this glass rod rubbed with wool or silk is kept in contact with a pith ball, right? So we have pith balls in this experiment 2. So pith balls touched with glass rod rubbed with wool or silk, and another is pith balls touched with plastic rod rubbed with cat's fur. Now these pith balls are taken because the one which is in contact with the glass rod rubbed with silk will have a positive charge, and the one which is touched with the rubber rod, which is rubber or plastic rod which is rubbed with cat's fur, here on this pith ball which is touched with this plastic rod will have negative charge, right? So this is how it got this charge. This is plus, this is plus, this is plus, this is plus, this was in contact, and here This plastic rod was in contact. So this got a negative charge. And then these pith balls were used for further experiments. So we'll continue after rubbing the board. So the pith ball touched with a glass rod rubbed with wool or silk is suspended with a thread like this. Another pith ball is suspended with another insulating thread, which this pith ball is also touched with glass rod, which is rubbed with wool or silk. So these will try to move away. So what will be the case? These will repel each other. Similarly, in next case, the pith ball, which is brought in contact with the plastic rod, which is rubbed with cat's fur, is brought near the other pith ball, which is also touched with the plastic rod, which is rubbed with cat's fur. Then it is observed that here is the repulsion, right? But if a plastic rod is brought in contact with the pith ball, and this pith ball is brought in contact with the pith ball, which was touched with the glass rod, which is rubbed with wool or silk, it was observed that these attract each other, right? So this again shows the repulsion between like charges and attraction between unlike charges, right? So this completes our experiment 2. Now we have an instrument which is called as gold leaf electroscope. Now this gold leaf electroscope is an instrument which helps us in detecting the type of charge on a charged body. This is one thing. Second, the amount of charge on the charge of body. So we have this setup. We have the transparent evacuated chamber, where there is a cork and the metal knob which is passing through this cork There is a metal knob over here, and this metal rod is continued to the two foils which are gold foils. So this is metal rod, and this is metal knob, right? So how it works, see, if we have this gold leaf electroscope and we bring any rod in contact with this, then this charge is transferred to the gold leaf through this metal knob. Then if this divergence increases on already charged leaves, what does it indicate? It indicates that this rod had the same charge. So when this charge is transferred, the divergence increases because the same charges increase. So this degree of divergence tells us about the charge, how much charge was there. So if divergence increases on already charged leaves, which are gold leaves, then this implies that the charge on rod is same as charge on the electroscope. Right? And degree of divergence says, if degree of divergence decreases, that means the charge is opposite. Just look at this. If suppose this is plus charge which was already there on the electroscope, and if this rod is plus charge, then obviously the divergence will increase due to the repulsion between more charges which are appearing due to this metal rod connected to the gold leaves, right? But in case we have suppose this was positive and this rod has negative charge, so some of the charge will be neutralized, so this will decrease, the divergence will decrease because some charge will be neutralized. So this shows opposite charge on the rod, right? And if the divergence is more then more charge is there. So what does it tell us? The structure is very much clear directly. It tells us the amount of charge and the polarity of charge. Right? So this was all about the charge concept, types of charges, experiments to show types of charges, and the gold leaf electroscope. So how these charges are developed, why the positive charge only is developed on the glass rod and the negative charge on the silk or wool with which it was rubbed, this we will discuss in the next video.